All right. Good morning. Good morning. We are going to talk about today a strategy to hold your real estate investments in a way that's going to offer you the best protection that you can get. I'm going to introduce a strategy to you that you probably haven't heard before. So buckle up. You're going to learn some things this morning. My name is Kristen Martinez. I am a real estate attorney here in the Tampa Bay area in Florida. I've been practicing for 14 years. And we are going to talk about land trusts today. I recommend land trusts on the daily in my practice for investors, for people purchasing their first home, for flippers, and everyone in between. They're a great tool for asset protection and many other benefits that you can't get elsewhere with a Florida entity. So this morning, we're going to talk about the benefits of a land trust, why I recommend land trusts. We're going to talk about why, in my opinion, land trusts are better than LLCs or corporations or any sort of other corporate entity. That's a question that I get a lot. If you are an investor and you have attended any online courses or investor meetup type groups, they probably recommended to you this very complex and convoluted corporate structure where you need corporations and LLCs from 4 different states and parent companies and holding companies and subsidiaries. You don't need any of that. I'm going to give you a strategy that is much, much simpler. It's going to provide you the same protection. It's going to be more cost effective, and we're live, so I can answer your questions as they come in on this live stream. So let me know where you're tuning in from in the chat. Let me know what questions you have about land trusts or anything else real estate law related. But let's start off with why a land trust. What are the benefits of land trusts? Why should I be using a land trust? The biggest one is asset protection. Yes, you get asset protection with corporate entities. Yes, you get asset protection with LLCs. You get the same asset protection with a Florida land trust, and it's going to be even better, and I'm going to tell you why. The next benefit you get is the avoidance of probate when you pass away. So in the land trust document, you can designate who you want to inherit the property upon your death. And when that time comes, the heirs that you've listed get access to and title to that property immediately upon the recording of your death certificate. There's no need for probate. There's no need for lawyers. There's no need for any sort of long and convoluted process. Another benefit you get with land trust is confidentiality. Here in Florida, you cannot get confidentiality with a corporate entity. It doesn't exist. Yes, you can go register your corporation in another state to get confidentiality, but that's going to introduce some additional hurdles and complexities that are not necessary. Flexibility is another benefit that you get with land trusts. Land trusts are much more user-friendly and practical to use than a corporate entity. With corporate entities, you have corporate formalities to follow. You have to worry about that little pesky corporate veil and not piercing it, because if you do, you could lose the asset protection that it gives you. Another great benefit with land trusts is if it is your primary residence, you get to maintain your homestead protection. That is not the case, again, with corporate entities. So there are many more benefits. These are the main ones and the main reasons why I recommend you hold your Florida real estate in a Florida land trust for the best protection and ease of use. Now, I always get the question, well, what about LLCs? You know, I heard you get asset protection and you get protection from probate and all of these different things with LLCs. Let's talk about LLCs a little bit. And for the purpose of this conversation, when I say LLC, I mean any corporate entity. So a partnership, a corporation, an LLC, S Corp, C Corp, all of those things. With a corporation, especially if it's single member, meaning you are the only owner or member or manager of that corporate entity, it is very hard to maintain that asset protection, because in order to get that asset protection, you're required to follow all of these corporate formalities, which don't really make sense to follow if it's just you. And sometimes if it's you and a close partner or a relative that you're investing with. For example, you need to hold meetings and create meeting minutes. You need to have an operating agreement. Most single member LLCs that I know do not have an operating agreement. People think, well, why do I need an agreement with myself? I'm not going to sue myself. True, you're probably not going to sue yourself, but an operating agreement is crucial to maintain that legal separation between the LLC and you, the individual. It's also crucial if you want to avoid probate and pass the property on to your heirs. If you don't have an operating agreement where you are designating your heir, guess what? That property is going to probate upon your death, which is probably one of the whole reasons why you created an LLC in the first place, is to avoid probate. So there are many different complexities and formalities that you have to comply with in order to take advantage of the benefits that a corporate entity gives you. The risk of commingling is another big risk of using corporate entities. Most commingling happens by accident. When I see it in my practice, the owner of the LLC has their own separate bank account. They're doing their best to keep expenses and income separate, but that tenant calls at midnight with a plumbing emergency, and half asleep you get your plumber out there, and over the phone you give them your personal credit card instead of your LLC credit card. It happens in an instant like that, usually by accident, or your spouse takes the call and just gives a random credit card number that is not connected to that LLC. Any sort of commingling like that can pierce the corporate veil, which means that if you were to get sued, if your LLC were to get sued, that corporate veil that's providing that asset protection for you gets pierced, and the person suing you can get to your personal assets. Very big risk in using corporate entities to hold real estate. With land trusts as well, you don't need this complex structure with many different LLCs and the parent companies and the holding companies and all of those sorts of things to keep track of. You don't need to go through all of that. A single land trust for each property that you own is going to give you maximum asset protection. It's going to give you confidentiality. It's going to avoid probate. It's going to maintain your homestead if it's your primary residence. It's going to give you all those things without a very complex structure. So you don't need to worry about that. Now, some issues and some questions that I get with land trusts are, number one, what if I have a mortgage on my property? Can I still put it in a land trust? The answer is yes. Unlike with an LLC, when you transfer property that you hold in your individual name into a trust where you are the beneficiary, you are not going to trigger that due on sale clause in your mortgage. That's not true with an LLC or a corporate entity. Now, when using LLCs, the likelihood that your mortgage lender is going to call the loan due or accelerate the balance is very, 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 very low. If they're receiving their payment every single month, the likelihood that they call that loan due is very low. However, legally, they can't call that loan due with a trust. And so it's just another element of peace of mind and protection there. People often ask me about the tax benefits of using a land trust. Legally, I can't give you tax advice. Go see your accountant or your tax advisor. However, I can tell you that an LLC is taxed based on who or what the beneficiary is. So if your accountant is saying, hey, you need to hold your real estate in an S corp for purposes of getting the most tax benefit, we can take that S corp and make it the beneficiary so that you get those same tax benefits. Same thing if you're holding it in your individual name. You can be the beneficiary individually and you get whatever tax benefits would flow from that. So in a nutshell, those are the major benefits and differences in using a land trust versus a corporate entity. If you can't tell, I'm very passionate about this topic. I think that land trusts are extremely underutilized. And I think that's because people just don't have the knowledge. There are many real estate attorneys who don't have the knowledge around land trusts and don't recommend them to their clients when they should be. And so I'm here to change that. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and follow. Let me know in the chat what questions you have. My channel is extremely new. I think I started it less than a week ago. So the support would be greatly appreciated, but I will also take your questions and comments and record live streams on those topics so that you get as much value around this this channel as possible. I will do another live stream that's going to delve deeper into the process of how do I get a land trust? What documents are involved? How much is it going to cost me? All of those details we'll do in a separate live stream with questions. So if you have questions about that, let me know in the chat as well. But thank you for attending. Thank you for supporting my channel. I will be back at least once a week with live streams. My entire channel is going to be around shorts and live streams. Shorts because they're fun, but live streams so that I can interact with you, I can build community with you, and I can answer the questions that you want to know about so you're getting as much value as possible. So have a great day. Again, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.